Well, back down to earth for Toronto FC. They lose last night away in Columbus, Ohio, 2-0 to the Columbus Crew. How you doing, everybody? Tim here once again. A view from the Steph Stands. I'm coming to you on Sunday, the day after TFC's loss away in Columbus. The record now 1 win, no draws, and 1 defeat on the 7-game road swing. The Reds, of course, going into a bye week. Next week they don't play again, I think, until a week Sunday away at Salt Lake City. Oh, how many times in this space, either in the written word or verbally, have I had to comment about referees? And I'll just get it out of the way right now. I continue to believe in my heart of hearts that David Gantar is just simply not good enough to officiate at this level. And I say this with all due respect to USL Pro and all due respect to the North American Soccer League. I think at best that's his level. I don't think he's good enough to referee at such a higher level of the game. And he proved it last year in Chicago when he took a road victory away from Toronto FC, leading, of course, to Michael Bradley coming up with very outspoken comments. I saw him hit with a very hefty fine. Basically, he came out and said, he's just not good enough. Bradley agreeing with me, or maybe me agreeing with Bradley, I don't know. But in any case, he got fined for that. And last night, I don't think he took away a win for Toronto FC, but I think he did take away the possibility maybe of a draw, because I think if that call wasn't blown at the half, if Morrow wasn't sent off, that game might have been a little different in its outcome. So I don't want to harp on the referee, because I don't think the referee cost the game. I think on the whole, I think Toronto FC at most would have gotten themselves a draw last night with that performance. Sebastian Giovinco, clearly the class of the team. Once again, the only forward threat that Toronto FC showed yesterday of any consequence was Giovinco, whether it be that 40-yard lob that he tried early on, to whether it be some of the play that saw sometimes 4, sometimes even 5 Crew defenders and midfielders completely swarm him because he's doing such a good job of holding onto the ball and trying to create something from nothing. Observationally, after 2 games, I think he's got a good ways to go to find his sea legs in this league. But I think the talent is starting to actually become really apparent with him. I think there will be times this season where Toronto FC plays games overall like they played last night, where a player of Sebastian Giovinco's quality is going to steal them points. I really think that he's going to get them draws and wins this season, where at most a draw or a loss would have been the order of the day previous to him not coming here. So I think he's going to prove more than his worth between now and the end of this season. Michael Bradley, however, remains a bit of a curious enigma to me. He had a really poor game yesterday. Bottom line, he was all over the place. I think I'm in agreement with a lot of pundits out there. I was reading Christian Jack's column on tsn.ca today, a guy who I respect a great deal when it comes to his knowledge of tactics, of the tactics of how this sport actually played, is supposed to be played a million times more than I'll ever know. He actually really believes that Bradley should be playing more of a box-to-box kind of a role, more of a roamer in the central part of the field. He's got the legs and the ability to push on and be more of an offensive threat, and let Sheru or whoever else is in the central part of the midfield, park themselves in front of the defenders. Bradley was there last night, gave the ball away way too cheaply, way too rashly a lot of times, and didn't really help TFC actually do what they did really well in the first game in Vancouver, which was, especially in the second half, make some adjustments, keep the ball, and do some creative things that led to goals in Vancouver and didn't really lead to anything last night. The defense, again, was very problematical last night, particularly in the first half. Vanny, and I'll get to Greg Vanny in a moment, I don't think he got the defensive line right. I think the bombing on fullbacks in particular were not, Craval in particular was getting burned a lot last night. And it just seems that Caldwell in particular and Percuse are being left out to dry. The other thing is Stephen Caldwell apparently picked up an injury, which is why he got subbed in the second half. And it'll be interesting to see if that injury is a significant one or not, because we've got a game 2 weeks from now in Salt Lake City at altitude, where his experience is going to be greatly needed. So hopefully his injury is a temporary one at best, because I really think that him and Percuse in particular has looked really good at times, but they really need more minutes together in competitive fixtures to really get that true understanding that they actually, to this point, apparently don't have. Now, Morrow on the red card. I'm really hoping that that red card is rescinded, because it was not a red card. It was not a yellow card. It was not a foul. So I'm quite optimistic that that's going to be rescinded. If there is, if the onus is on Toronto FC to appeal that, to go to the disciplinary committee and appeal that, I hope that that appeal has already been filed, or if not, it needs to be filed first thing tomorrow morning, because that is not a red card. Morrow's red card should be immediately rescinded. He should be available for selection for the next game. And speaking of selection, I've got a question. Ashton Morgan's inclusion last night. One thing I did find out last night is overall Ashton Morgan is now in second place all time in appearances for Toronto FC in all competitions. He's now at 95 appearances. He's 4 away from tying Stefan Fry's all-time appearance record of 99, and he's 5 away from hitting the century mark of being the first TFC player to do so. Last night, I think he had rust on rust. He looked really poor, unfortunately, and it's sad to say that he's made some retrograde steps over the past couple of seasons with Toronto FC. That was the first appearance that he's made for the club in about 10 months, maybe longer than that. So it was really sad to see that. I'm hoping maybe that he can get some time with TFC2, because the kid's got 95 appearances. He's still young. There's still the possibility of him actually being an MLS quality fullback, but candidly, from what I saw yesterday, I don't think that that's the case today. So I'm hoping that they can find some way of improving his position. The last thing I very quickly want to talk about the game is Joe Bendik. I think the one bright light, perhaps, not to the same level of Sebastian Giovinco so far, because I think that Altidore, even though he had a great game on Saturday past in Vancouver, wasn't really the outstanding player last night in Columbus. So I don't think he's done himself any favors as far as his performance goes, as far as being the top guy at TFC. I think that's currently Sebastian Giovinco, just based on the talent on display. But I think Joe Bendik, both games, both in Vancouver and in Columbus, he made some spectacular saves. The Reds are not going to be let down by Joe Bendik this season. He's not going to cost the Reds points. Far from it. He's going to save them points between now and the end of the season, and that's all you want in a goalkeeper. So we're not going to have another video up in this space until the Salt Lake City game, which is 2 weeks hence. Enjoy the break. There'll be more MLS games next weekend, of course, but the Reds won't be involved, and there'll be a bye. I'm working currently on a really long opus that I'm writing about the Toronto Argonauts, and about why it's simply for the Argonauts, let alone Toronto FC, but why for the Toronto Argonauts it doesn't make sense for them to come to BMO Field and try to make a go of it. And that's going to be in the space in the next coming days. I'm probably going to break it up into a few parts because it's getting a little long. But I really truly believe in my heart of hearts that it's not going to help them, it's going to hurt us. And they need to get their own stadium or go out of business. But that's something I'll be talking about in this space a little later on. I want to thank you very much for watching. Come on, you Reds, and let's hope they turn it around on the road trip and get maybe a point. I think a point in Salt Lake would be a really positive development, considering how difficult a place that is to play. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.